Birdie looks at him and says, "That is awesome. How did you get them to do that?"
He says that he's dedicated his life to ant husbandry.
Could you, like, maybe write some instructions down?
At this, he says, Daedra has bid me show you one more thing. And he opens this door, which is just a wooden door kind of inexpertly set into a wooden frame braced by this frozen earth. And he opens it up, and the next room looks very much like this one, with the holes all at ground level. But it would be very difficult to navigate this room, because the ceiling of it, and then occupying most of the space of the room, is just a huge tangle of petrified tree roots.
Oh.
And you can see many of these roots have the process of unpetrifying them has begun. Bindbecken steps into the room and makes his summoning sound again, and the ants swarm in towards the various roots, and they begin chewing and gnawing on the stone. And he tells you that this is grueling work and unnatural as far as the ants are concerned.
So the instructions we were given on the sticks, could we just like stick them on, like, we were told to stick them in the ground in a specific way. Like, if we stuck them in the ceiling, would that count as sticking them in the ground?
You have no idea. The problem is you can't reach the earthen ceiling of this room because it's covered in tree roots, and even if you could, it'd be frozen solid.
Yeah, the problem that we have, apparently, is that there's metal plates underneath the tree. Because, if I'm remembering correctly, the depetrification would happen with the ritual.
Yes.
It's just we can't plant the sticks because there's metal plates there.
And Daedra is trying to end run around this by hiring an ant keeper to unpetrify the tree from the bottom up.
And Adrex would have explained that, by the way. That was in character.
Okay.
Could the ants chew the metal, or is that worse for them?
Well, they're chewing on the stone of the roots, and their acrid secretions of this particular kind of ants are very slowly unpetrifying the tree. The mechanism behind this, you're not sure.
Okay.
Binbicken tells you that he's left instructions with Daedra on how to continue his work after he's dead. He is an old, sick man whose work is almost done. And he says it's just as well. And he reaches up into the tangle of tree roots. And he taps something with his finger that sounds like glass. And a white glow forms in the tree roots. And looking up, you can see what has been described to you by Brenniar. A phylactery hanging in the tangled stone roots of the tree. This is the object that houses the Lich's soul.
Wow.
He says when Daedra work is done here, she will free the Lich and bind her, and that is her task. Then he turns back to Birdie. He says, will there be anything else? Or is our meeting run its course?
I can't think of anything to ask him. No. Other than, like, before you die, you should pass your knowledge on how to, like, husband ants. You should write a book.
Wives, too. Husbands and wives. That'd probably help.
He says that he will consider this thing in a tone of voice that tells you that he will not consider this thing even slightly. And then very brusquely comments that if there will be nothing else, he has much to attend to.
Do you have any ideas on how to remove the metal plates from the ground?
He tells you that with a fulcrum and sufficient leverage. And he says this in a way that he's not even considering the question as being realistic.
Alright.
And he begins walking back out into 25, making sure that you two go ahead of him.
Well, thanks for the tour, man. That's fascinating.
Then you two are
Birdie
going
has anything else.
back up to the window.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
So after the day, everybody can go ahead and take the benefits of a long rest.
Yay!
Rest. Woohoo.
Does anybody need poultice healing before I...
Is that what Red
But-
says when other people are excited?
Maybe.
If you got extra, Birdie could take like 30 points.
Take 20, I think.
That works. That's fine.
So I had to fix myself first.
So, Red, there's no time of day where descending down
Take
on a
29.
rope will be completely safe and without risk.
Yeah.
The dead of night is probably your best bet.
Uh-huh. That's what I was thinking. If I were to swing back and forth on this rope horizontally, would there be a rooftop I could get to? Like, that's a little bit more out of sight than just dropping into the center of this plaza?
Sure, as long as you're willing to drop 250 feet or so. There's lots of rooftops you could land on.
What's the tallest building around here?
Not tall enough.
Okay.
There's no, like, clock towers or city walls or castle keeps or
Alright,
anything.
so I want 2 people at all times, one of whom should always be either Adrex or Raazu, watching this thing. I would like to disguise myself as a human.
So, just unpacking that comment a little bit.
Uh-huh.
Windy I get, she can't see into the thing.
Uh-huh.
You just flat out don't trust Birdie.
No, Birdie can be one of the 2 people. I just need someone strong to pull me up.
Oh, okay, I got you. That's why you.
I don't care who
you
the
just
other
selected.
person is, honestly.
Got you. Okay.
Listen, Red trusts me. We've murdered people together.
It's not that I don't trust you, it's that I can't trust you.
And how are you disguising yourself?
Do I actually? I believe I do have a disguise kit I've never used. Yeah,
I
let's
think
put
you
on
used
some glass spectacles with like kind of black glass over them.
Okay.
Let's go ahead and use some sort of cream or something to conceal all of the places where I have scales. And let's go ahead and add a wig as well, just to make sure that like I have enough hair, because I don't think Red has that much hair to begin with. So I'm gonna go ahead and roll this disguise kit.
Red goes as a human for Halloween.
Stop by the
That's
spirit
intelligent,
store.
right?
So, can Red disguise Birdie to look like a gnome?
So,
I don't want to visit the human places. You crazy?
so I got a
have
20
this-
on disguise on the proficiency disguise kit intelligence.
Here, I'll paste the picture. This is what Red looks like in the Twitch chat here. Oh, maybe I will. Maybe I won't.
Oh god, I have to actually open up Twitch chat, I'm sorry.
Some-
Normally...
Some little kid points at him, because that's a snake man! And the mom's just like, don't be rude, son. It's not a snake man.
I can't connect to Twitch chat for some reason. It's not working. Let me try to do it over through OBS. Because as soon as he started describing this disguise, I knew exactly what he was going for.
All right.
Uh,
Yeah, and then let's go ahead and climb down the rope.
Is that more or less it, Red?
I don't have Twitch chat open. Can you paste it into the Discord?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, that works. I think Red usually wears a hooded cloak, so...
That's him.
Okay, I need you to make a hide check
Mm-hmm.
at disadvantage. Because you've got to climb down a 300-foot rope in a way that's inconspicuous. You guys do have 300 feet of rope, yes?
Uh-huh, between us. I got 100. We've done 300 before. I know other people.
I have 100 feet of silk rope.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I think
Someone else have another
has.
100?
Birdie left his rope in the dragon cave, so sorry.
That would be a stealth
50 feet of rope.
25.
25. Okay.
And once I make it to the ground, I am going to listen to people talk, just kind of take in the atmosphere. And I'm going to note that Red has a class feature from his rogue path that never comes up called, where's that one? Way up there.
I know the one you're talking about. You use this on the
Master of
pirate ship
Intrigue,
once.
that I can unerringly mimic local accents, speech, whatever, after listening to it for 1 minute. 1 minute.
Okay. The climb down is harrowing. It's a very long climb and very arduous task to climb down. And it's a very clear night, which means there's a great deal of moonlight. And you're relying on the universal fact that people never look up.
Right.
And you're watching the ground, and you're keeping track of the people moving. So the actual task of climbing down takes a lot longer than it would have. There's a lot of stopping and starting to make sure you don't cast a shadow in a place that is inopportune.
Mm-hmm.
And you manage to climb down within probably 30 or 40 feet of the ground and swing over to a nearby rooftop, so you don't have to lower the rope all the way to the ground, which would be immediately spotted.
I'll give a quick tug on the rope so I know to pull it back up.
And you guys feel the tug on the rope.
What's the signal for Red to cut? He wants to come back up.
I'll
That
be
we can
blowing
see.
the horn so that you or Raazu can hear, or you or Adrex can hear it. I've got
Okay.
2 charges in it right now, so.
Okay.
And make an investigation check at disadvantage, because it's the dead of the night, as you're listening to people around.
That'd be a 22.
The people who are in the marketplace in the night are essentially the people that live in the marketplace at night. These are people of the night. They're miscreants, they're homeless, they're thieves, they're beggars. You learn that the city is called Mequaris.
Mm-hmm.
And the carriage that you saw through the spyglass, the one with the black cat on it, is the regent of this city. A family called House George. Now that you're in the marketplace looking around, first of all, when you look in the sky, you can't see where you came from at all.
Mm-hmm.
There's no mark in the sky. Now that you're in the city, you can look out, you can see walls, but they're very, very far away. In fact, I took the liberty of...
What was the noble house with the displacer beast named?
House George. So you've come down in about the center of the city. And as you were climbing down, you could look out and see strong walls surrounding the whole thing. And it looks like the closer to the center you get, the poorer and more compact the city becomes, until the keep of House George, walled in itself, sitting up to the north. Once you get down to the ground level, you can't see any of that anymore. You're just amidst the marketplace.
Okay.
But you pick up that cursory bit of information up front. There are not actually 500-foot tall giant people standing outside of the city walls. That'd be ridiculous.
Are these people speaking Southling?
Oh, yes.
Common? Okay.
Indeed. And after a few minutes, you manage to mimic the accents and mannerisms of them. However, you do not exactly blend in.
Mm-hmm.
The disguise that you're wearing. You catch stares whenever people catch your face, primarily at your dark glasses. Smoked glasses in the middle of the night, even a clear night like this, do draw attention.
Okay. Can I pull my hood over my face so it's not immediately obvious that I'm wearing them?
Sure.
Well, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go find some place to get some clothes in a local style.
In the middle of the night, probably you'll have to steal them.
Oh, okay.
Is that the plan?
Yeah. I've got my lockpicks and whatnot.
Okay.
I'm picturing that scene in Back to the Future 2 when Doc gives him a 50 from 1955 and says something inconspicuous. Smash cut to him in a black leather jacket and glasses.
So how are you going about stealing clothes?
So I'm on a marketplace now. Did I see any of the stalls or buildings here that were selling clothing while I was observing?
There's no tailor's shops open at this hour for sure.
Mm-hmm.
You might be... Well, it depends on what kind of clothes you're looking for.
Commoner's clothes.
Just commoner's clothes?
Yeah.
You might consider just taking them off of a drying line.
Are there enough people in the city that would be like that I could find that pretty easily?
You could find a couple of alleyways with just squat little houses and cottages packed tightly together with lines strewn between them where the day's clothes that have been laundered are hanging out.
Yeah, let's find a pair of pants, a tunic, and can I tell which side of which wall this is hanging between that clothes came from? Is it closer to one or the other?
No.
I'll just leave a silver piece on each windowsill then.
That's not stealing, though. You're bad at stealing.
So I marked off 2 silver.
Bought the most overpriced commoner's outfit that you could conceivably get. You put your dark cloak over the top of it.
Yep, and I'm gonna try and find a quiet alleyway and just sort of wait for the morning.
Okay. And the morning does arrive. Up in the room, who's on duty? Who's on first watch? Who's on duty up there?
Raazu.
Okay. So Red, what are your adventures in town?
All right. Now that I can hopefully wear the glasses a little bit less conspicuously, I am going to try and go to a local is there an open air open air restaurant or something, kind of lower class?
Before the sun even comes up, I mean, the parts of the marketplace start coming alive with the smells of the morning's bread. As some local bakers are rolling out.
I want to wait till there's a good number of people here, so I can just kind of eavesdrop on conversations. I'm gonna just sit down and have some breakfast.
Okay. Yes, you managed to get a loaf of bread. An hour or so later, the first fisher carts come in with the day's catch. These fish markets start opening up, and the marketplace starts to come alive with the activity that you've seen from a far distance away.
So now I've gotten a better feel for the local area. Could I make a investigate check to represent a couple of hours of trying to, butter people up with buying them drinks, moving between taverns, and getting more information about the city?
Just spending the day, you can easily do that. A couple hours.
Okay.
It seems to be a time of peace and surplus in this city. There doesn't seem to be an undercurrent of fear. From what you can hear, these people are not at war. The things that they complain about are very trivial to your ears. You know, so-and-so's husband turned an ankle in the fields. There's no signs of major illness. It seems to be a very peaceful time in these people's lives, which sort of goes against what you've been led to believe about Southlings, with their constant tales of wars and crusades. It's very striking how little these people seem concerned about monsters or warring or the dangers of the North. And you hear no mention whatsoever about the Wall or orcs or goblinoids or anything of that nature.
Can I casually bring up and try and get a feel for geographically how far removed I am from the North, like how far south I am?
So McQuarris is surrounded by a couple miles of farmland in all direction, all under the purview of House George. There is a great river nearby, which is where the fishing is done. And there are smaller villages up and down the banks of the river, also under the purview of House George. He's apparently a very rich and what it sounds like very benevolent regent. His family's protected the city for many, many years. It is a free city. It's not under the purview of any human king. It lays in the center of a great plain. There are very few non-human citizens of the city. You do catch glimpses now and then, primarily of dwarves. But it seems like they're residents here. Dwarven traders don't come here. It's very, very far away from... You don't see any mountains on the horizon or anything like that. What you're able to glean is this must be many, many, many weeks of travel south of the wall.
Okay.
You don't hear any tell of the Wemmicks, and you don't see the colors of the Wemmicks that you're familiar with either.
I guess the last thing I'd like to investigate is, are there any churches? Are there any, like, obvious pantheons or gods or anything?
There is a church district in the town, a temple district, close to the southern gates. So down here, and dozens of such gods. And here you also find temples to dwarven and elven pantheons specifically. It seems like these humans have hundreds of such gods, and they seem to pray to many different gods. You'll pray to one god to make sure that the pasta boils correctly. You'll pray to another god to get the boots clean. You'll pray to another god so that the horse whelps a strong foal.
Is it possible to find out if they have a god of, like, demons and devils? Or, like, fighting back against demons and devils?
Walking up and down the streets of the temple district, you don't see anything of that nature. And you get the distinct sense that this is not the kind of thing you would ask in polite conversation.
Right.
Just the question would probably draw attention. These are people who have never seen an orc in their lives, most like.
Okay, so here's what I'd like to do before I leave. I would like to buy Adrex, some sort of elvish religious thing, like a prayer beads or a prayer book or something like that.
To what end? Like, what sort of god?
One of the elvish gods. I don't know anything about god. I'll literally just kind of flip a coin or roll a die in my head and pick one. Like,
Okay.
It'll be the most random elf god ever.
Randomo. Do you like settle on a god of nature, on a god of animals?
Let's go with an elvish god of the moon.
Of the moon. Okay.
And yeah, I want to get like a prayer book or prayer beads, something that would be obviously kind of elvish and mystic.
With a generous donation to one of the elvish temples, you can... they're happy
Knock
to
off a
share
gold
with
piece.
you. It's a string of wooden beads on what looks like just very basic hemp or twine. And you actually have to purchase 2 of these because the one that she hands you is not big enough to go around Adrix's neck.
Okay.
But the center of it, it looks like it's made out of ivory. It's almost impossibly smooth, and it's in the shape of a quarter moon.
For Birdie, I would like to purchase a new shovel, and if there's any like tinkerers district or any like gnomes or tinkers, anyone who's like intricate little pieces of machinery, I'd like to buy him something of that nature.
That's fine, but I would caution you against telling Birdie that you got it from a gnomish shop.
Okay.
Birdie loves gnomes, as I recall.
I'm gonna knock off a gold for that.
Okay.
For Raazu, I would like to get like a bit of like military help. Do they have like a town guard or anything like that?
Oh, yes.
Are weapons for sale to private individuals, or is it entirely controlled by the state?
To the nobility. The nobility can wear blades in the street. Someone of your stature could not.
Can I go to a disreputable place and ask someone where a guy could go to buy some self-protection? You know, I mean, I don't necessarily have any enemies, but if I did need to stab someone, where could I get a decent piece of steel?
You learn that common men are not supposed to carry weapons in town.
Yeah.
What you're supposed to do, there's the city guard. They wear bright red cloaks. They carry pikes and long swords and brass horns. And the guard is said to be 1,000 men strong.
Okay.
And in most parts of the town, especially in the temple district where you came from, you can't go more than a few minutes without seeing patrols. In fact, if you go out near the gates, they're constantly walking the walls of the town, keeping the peace inside of the town. Nobility are allowed to carry weapons, but what you learn is that many people do conceal stilettos or some kind of something similar.
Okay.
Amongst the rabble of the town, there are like little alchemical sacks are very popular. The kind of like itching powders or pepper powders or things, just something you can throw in somebody's face to momentarily blind them and get away, are also very popular. Mostly among like street urchins and things.
All right,
so these are things you'd be able to get.
I'd like to buy I'd like to try and get my hands on the most potent one of those sacks I could, as well as the highest quality, either short sword or long dagger for Raazu.
Okay. How potent? Because
I'd like to be able to blind someone.
Okay, because depending on how long you want to spend shopping, you'd be able to find alchemists who can go higher than that, up to and including like throw this in somebody's face and it will melt off of their bones.
No, blinding is pretty much exactly what I want.
Okay, yeah, you can find some blinding powder.
How much will that cost me?
I'm not. What does alchemist fire cost in the PHP? We'll say that's
25 or 50, right?
That seems high to me.
Let me look.
Oh, it's 50.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
That's way too expensive. What would be comparable here? Let's compare it to Sealing Wax.
Okay.
That's about how difficult it would be to make this stuff. And the person you hit is only going to be blinded for a few moments. It's just enough for if a pickpocket gets caught by one of the guardsmen, this is just enough for him to
That's fine
away.
For my purposes.
Okay.
And did I get a short sword or stiletto for Raazu?
You can go to a blacksmith and they have weapons on the rack, or you could commission one. Just you're not allowed to carry it in town.
Okay. Yeah,
Like,
I'll buy Raazu a longsword in that case.
Okay, yeah, it's for sale at the price in the
And
PHP.
I'll just kind of conceal it in my pack. And finally, for Windy, before I leave in the marketplace, I will buy as many exotic spices and meats as I can. Just fill my pack up with little samplers of stuff.
There are a great deal of these, because this is a trading town, primarily human trade, but also a great deal of elven material. The wooded and sylvan areas are much closer to the town than the faraway mountains are. So you're able to find all sorts of exotic elven spices, things with names that you think Adrex might be able to pronounce.
Maybe maybe a couple of pieces of fresh fish.
Okay.
And then I'll climb up onto the rooftop that I dropped onto, wait for nightfall, and see if there's an opportunity for a cloud to get in front of the moon.
I can roll my weather table. Let's find out. The weather does not worsen, unfortunately for you.
Okay. Once the moon is high enough that shadows will be cast more up in the buildings and on the ground, I'll go ahead and blow the horn twice. Once for Raazu, once for Adrex.
Raazu and Adrex, you hear the horn blown, which is your cue to throw the rope out the window and haul Red back up.
That's what we do.
Get roping.
I'll tie the rope around my waist and start climbing.
And somebody notices this happening. You hear the brass horn blown as the red-cloaked guards start massing up around the building, none of which happens quickly enough to stop your ascent.
What kind of ranged weapons did these guys have?
By the time that they've amassed enough of a crowd, I mean, several arrows have been loosed.
Okay.
None of which come close to hitting you. But after a few moments, you get hauled up, and you can watch the spectacle. They rolled a 20 on their perception as you were leaving.
Well.
Better than while I was in the church district, right?
Yeah, no joke.
And looking down, I mean, you can see, instead of just looking out over the dark city, lights have been lit, torches and fires. A search of the area is commencing, and so you have a spectacle to watch tonight.
All right. So who's here when I get pulled back through the window?
Everybody.
Everybody.
Adrex, and I'll hand you the prayer beads. These are Elven, from the Elven Moon God. Raazu, this is the local style. I just thought you might like it. Hand her the longsword. Birdie, here, I got you a new shovel. And this, I think you'll like it. Little mechanical toy. And of course, Windy, and I'll fish most of the rest of my pack out that's filled with spices and fresh fish.
Birdie is like tearing up, and he runs over and he hugs your leg.
There wasn't anything useful or interesting in the city.
Red,
So-
Red, I think
Seems
this candy
incredibly
isn't
peaceful.
bad, as Adrex sucks on the prayer beads.
I didn't get a manual for them. I'm not sure. I'm pretty sure they're Elvish.
What? Why did you like? I'm not saying that this was a bad thing for you to grab all this stuff, but what? Why?
I thought you would like it.
Oh,
I'm sorry, did I misunderstand how giving gifts work?
Fred, you didn't get anything for yourself. Come with me. What do you like to
No,
eat?
no, I've got this blinding powder.
That's... I guess that's kind of like a gift you give to someone else's eyes.
Well, I mean,
That's
maybe he bought himself the thing that he thought he would like the most. I think that makes sense. It's just kind of weird to buy a gift for yourself.
Like,
I'd call it more of a souvenir.
so, Birdie disengages from Red, and then walks over to the window and is watching the people scurry around.
Yeah, you're watching. They're conducting this organized search of the area in the marketplace where somebody reported seeing a man floating into the sky.
Birdie,
Yeah, there's absolutely nothing interesting there. It's like small-time petty theft seemed to be the biggest threat to anyone, or maybe, I mean, there might have been other stuff, but the guard had their city really well under control. There were no armies. There were no. I was so far south, I didn't even hear word of the wall. I didn't see anything about Wemix.
What was their principal export?
I think fish and spices.
no armor or anything like that.
No, I mean it's illegal if you're not a member of the guard to carry weapons, but
Did
Of
they
the
have
nobility.
like a big marketplace?
Well, you can see the marketplace right now.
oh yeah,
the way the
that's
window
you can only see it. Like this is a tiny window into the marketplace. You can't even barely see all of it from up here.
Maybe then this was in the wheel so that they could sell stuff?
I mean,
Or
it
that
would
they
be a
got-
nice place to relax if you were a human, or you could assume a human form,
I mean, yeah. Also, to the ability to.
or you could
your
corrupt the
sundries.
nobility if you're a demon. I don't know how that works. Okay, I do actually kind of know how that works. I was sort of raised that way. Yeah, you could totally corrupt the nobility if you were a demon.
Don't
Birdie,
nobility come pre-corrupted?
Yeah, you'd probably have to wrestle other demons for it.
Well, I mean, considering that it was placed here, I imagine it was for someone to get sundries.
It might have been different whenever this was built too. Who knows? But yeah, there's
I mean,
none of the churches seem to have any iconography or anything like that deals with demons or devils or anything. No Yugoloths. Nothing interesting.
Without saying a word, as quietly and as stealthily as possible, Birdie is going to pull the tomato thing out from under his cloak and just drop it out the window.
Okay.
Yeah,
And
and
it
then
falls out
turn
of
around.
sight and hits the ground.
he's going to slide down. Now, so I didn't even get to hit anybody. That's
Were you aiming at somebody?
yeah.
Roll the hit at disadvantage.
Birdie gonna murder someone?
Actually, no, you can't even roll the hit at this distance. It's way too far for a thrown object.
Right.
Which
Okay.
is totally
Well, it's a
chance.
dropped object. Yeah, there you go.
No, you don't hit anybody with your
I rolled a 1 anyway, so
weird tomato.
but like I don't say anything. I watch it hit the ground splat and then just kind of slide very quietly off the windowsill and have a very innocent look on my face.
Okay.
That means Birdie is guilty of.
What's next?
Well,
so
how's
Should
everyone
we-
feeling?
The clock faces. We also I don't think we should do anything with the ocean one because
it seems dangerous. Yeah,
Where do you want to leave it when we go down there?
the beach,
the beach,
Where we found it.
or we could
I'm
leave
okay
it
with
on the
the beach.
battlements. The battlements also,
the battlements. Yeah.
Oh yeah, right
If
to
we
here.
need to get to the battlements, we can just go out the front door.
but
If stuff goes
Uh,
real bad, it might be good to have an exit to a beach.
Yeah, I think I like the beach in case some stuff does go really bad.
but do
we don't know where in the world that beach is.
It's
Birdie holds
better
up
than
his-
wherever things go really bad.
Probably better than here.
Birdie holds up his
There's
shovel
all the
and
fruit you can eat.
says, "Do we need to dig out the swamp and see if we can see where it goes?"
Um,
You want to dig out the whole swamp?
No, just a hole to the roof. Or the top of the swamp. Like
I'm inclined to say that we did accomplish our goal in finding something useful for killing demons out in the world. And Windy nods over at Raazu's new weapon.
Yeah, Raazu holds up the just what looks like just a simple piece of wood. It's very ornate looking wood, but
Looks like wood.
Stand back.
Does it have a hilt, or is it just literally a piece of wood?
It looks like the hilt of a weapon, probably
Okay.
a whip. And then Raazu tells everyone to step back, and then once everyone does, she cracks it.
And when she cracks this whip, it looks identical to Circassius' sword, except it's a whip made of light instead of a sword made of light.
Adrex nods in approval.
Oh, that's something.
Birdie
Yep.
starts clapping his hands and go, do it again, do it again.
Raazu stares at Birdie.
We
Yeah.
learned a valuable lesson about how everything has a use, even when you can't immediately see what it is. And Windy stares at Birdie. It's a "I saw you throw that fruit" stare.
You didn't see nothing. You have no eyes.
I didn't hear no stealth check being rolled there. So,
Legend lore the hilt or what?
I mean, if you want to,
How'd you find out?
prayer, meditation.
A likely story.
Birdie, you were standing in front of an open window. You're the most visible person in the world to Windy.
What's next?
Uh,
Oh, I talked to Ant-Man.
Oh,
Yeah, he's a bit of a recluse.
yeah.
sounds about right.
What was his name? Benny?
Bin Bicken.
Bin Bicken.
Been picking.
Benny, right, okay.
So what did he have to tell us about?
He showed us the roots of the tree. He's having the ants chew through the petrification. It's gonna take forever if we keep letting that.
Also,
We
the
have no
ants.
idea how to pry away the metal. And we saw the light from the fill factory, whatever it is, the lich thing.
Also, the ants are not big enough to ride. Which was a.
I'm sorry, Birdie.
Priorities.
I know you had your heart set on those ants.
Maybe I could still get one as a pet. He said he's dying soon, so there'll be like
Available.
there'll be a vacancy.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Might be able to get more than one.
Good luck with that.
I only need one. I just need somebody to help me dig holes. An ant seems like a good fit for that.
That's why you have your shovel. Your new shovel that Red went painstakingly to get for you.
Birdie starts to tear up again, and he runs over and hugs Red's leg again.
What's
It's like
next?
clutch.
Do we actually know where this Taya is?
You
Oh,
do.
yeah.
Is in the basement.
Yeah, we have a room.
We should probably go and check that out and see.
So, I want to make sure I got this right.
Okay.
We came here.
Yeah.
To try and negotiate with a lich.
Sure.
But in coming here, we found Daedra,
Correct.
and rather than killing Daedra, who wants to enslave the lich, we're going to help her kill a completely different thing in an effort to have Daedra enslave the lich. We
And
originally-
Windy holds out her hand and kind of waves it back and forth.
I feel like there's a couple of steps missing near the end, but close enough for whatever the hell business we're in.
I hear tell we're
Kinda
thieves and
complicated.
murderers.
saying, kind of complicated.
All right, so here's the way I see it, Adrex, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is we got here to wake up the lich and talk to her,
Mm-hmm.
and we found out that in order to do that, we have to kill this enormously evil creature in the basement.
Mm.
That's the end of my viewing on the subject.
That skips more steps than me.
Sure, but We'll see how it goes.
All this.
I still think we should keep to the original plan that we attempt to convince this woman that to do what she was meant to do in the past.
Right, but
Yeah, but
if we
what
can't do that,
I'm pretty
And
sure.
then Raazu looks meaningfully at Adrex when Red says that.
If things go badly, we'll wing it.
The only one in here, only two of us in here have wings.
But that's 4 wings. You know.
That's still, even if it's like 1 wing per person, that still leaves us short a wing.
You're small.
Okay, so what's next?
All right, I think we're gonna get our resources together and go take out this man. How's that sound, everyone?
Take out this lich, yeah.
Not a lich, not yet.
Or yeah.
We're not doing the
Take
Lich
it, Lord
Taya.
Taya.
We're doing Lord Taya.
We
don't-
yeah, we need to at least look at the room.
Man, we need to. We have no information on this. So,
So we've been told he's just in there asleep, right?
Yes,
So
And
we've
that
been
he-
told.
And he's not waking up anytime soon.
correct.
Okay, so I think we go in there and see if we can't prepare the battlefield somehow.
But I think we go in there with since we heard about that nonsense mind control that might happen. We go in planning that if this needs to be the time when we fight, then it's the time.
yeah,
when we fight.
we have no idea if going in there will wake him up.
Right.
Okay.
If we get the chance to prepare the battlefield, then great.
What do you do with Thada? Is Thada coming with you?
No.
No.
So what are we doing with her?
Thought, I think it best that you stay in the room for this, and if we
Find a boarding house down in Macquaras?
So, where was the?
I mean, I'm gonna be real with you, Thada. We're leaving it on the beach, and if things go real bad and we all die, I think you're better off jumping out the window.
She
Jumping out the
bristles
window to the
at
beach.
the comment. She tells you that if things go really wrong, she'll stay and fight, like she was taught.
okay. That one.
She says better to die with honor than live a coward.
Right, but if we all die, that means there's an enormously evil creature on the loose now, and it would be better if you went and got like an army to take it out, because that's what you're gonna need if it takes out us.
Also, better to be alive than to dead. Really.
Yeah, honor's kind
Honor's
of a
cool, but living better.
honor is a fool's prize, and glory is of no use to you if you're dead.
She tells you, of course, you would think that way. You're a kobold.
I
She
mean,
about to get a shovel in her face.
no, she's not.
Honor is getting your objectives done, and you're not gonna get your objective done if you don't go get that army.
So you tell Thada to stay up in the room, unless the place starts getting torn apart by demons, in which case you want her to jump out the window.
And go get an army. Wendy's not joking about the army.
Heading down to the basement, into the room where you met Frederick, the Riverman,
Yep.
and you're standing outside the door to Lord Taya's keep, and it feels even colder outside this door than it does elsewhere in Voronox.
So, I think we originally discussed saying that if somebody was going to open the door and they get mind control, it would be better if it was me.
I mean,
that-
honestly, it would probably be better if it was me, because no one's controlling my mind but me.
Oh, that's a good point.
Also, let me stand near you because I have a thing. Like this weapon that we took off Staircase is pretty potent.
Sounds good.
Okay, so
As
when
in, you're getting advantage on all magic or advantage on all saving throws involving with magic or magical effects. Basically, I can make everybody red for that's near me.
I don't know if I want to be red.
yeah, this might be the single most powerful weapon I've given out in a 5th edition game so far.
That's how you can tell us near the end of the campaign.
Yep.
You gave one to Daniel.
You gave me a Feymore, man.
Daniel,
Really awesome.
Daniel was great.
Yeah, he was an NPC. He doesn't count. Did he have a Holy Avenger?
You did, yes. You gave him a Holy Avenger. I remember.
What kind
saying
of dick
this.
gives a +3 Holy Avenger to the NPC? What kind
Listen,
of
we were all
just,
big fans of Daniel. We supported him in his
Yeah.
+3 Holy Avenger.
what kind of magnificent chud lord does that?
The same kind who
You gave us a Staff of Thunder and Lightning. That was really cool. Though we had to beat it away from an enemy, but
Windy, you stand outside of Lord Taya's door.
I had chainmail made out of coral. That was great. All right, let's open it up with Raazu keeping close behind.
And looking into the door, the plane of the door just feels cold and empty. And there's floor there, but the darkness is almost impenetrable. Looking in through the door, you more feel the room beyond than you see it. And your attention is drawn to a focal point some distance away from the inside. This room feels very wrong in ways that are indescribable. It feels claustrophobic and boundless at the same time. And you can't see anything inside.
Adrex draws his bow and has an arrow at the ready.
Okay?
At the darkness.
At the
So-
darkness. Inside
So
is
it's
a
like there's like a
gazebo.
plane of darkness. Is the door open?
Yeah, you've opened the door.
Yeah. So there's like a plane of darkness. Like no one else can see past it.
Yeah, you cannot see inside of the room. It's a magical darkness, otherwise most of you would be able to see inside. But there's something drawing your attention inside the room, maybe 30 feet beyond the plane or so. It's not like a point of light or warmth or anything specific, really. It's just your mind is kind of locked onto it. You
Does
know
that
that there is a
candle-
presence inside of the room.
Does that candle repel magical darkness, or is it only just emit?
It creates magical darkness.
Okay.
It's like the opposite of.
What we need.
Yeah. But so I'm going to attempt to get a sight of the room. I'm going to cast the gust cantrip,
Okay?
which creates a burst of wind for 30 feet.
And you cast the gust cantrip, and it blows out into the door, into the room, and spreads out in multiple directions. And you feel it gliding along the floor of the room, but not against any walls.
All right, and I'm going to describe that to the others so that they know what to expect, and then I'm going to step in.
And you guys, Windy steps into the room, and from your perspective, she vanishes.
Raazu,
Okay.
right there behind her shoulder, a hand on her shoulder.
Does it feel like... Because I could feel like my gaze being captured to an object. Does it feel like I'm actually getting closer to it when I move forward?
It's an excellent question, and we'll get to that. What's
Okay.
everybody else doing in the meantime?
Raazu's walking in there right behind with Wendy with her arm on her shoulder.
Red's planning to be the last one through the door.
Okay.
Birdie has a scroll in his hand at the ready.
What scroll?
Dancing lights,
Okay.
and then he's gonna go walk through behind Adrex.
Well, Adrex is going to be in the middle then, I guess, with his bow drawn at the ready.
Now, Ayashara also has her bow strung, and she's glancing back at Red, and as she marches in after Birdie.
And then Red goes through
All right,
after everybody else is in.
and that's where we'll take our break.